Hello students, today we are going to start the next part. First of all, we will require to know a point about some short forms. First of all, what is GFR? Okay, so GFR stands for glomerular filtration rate. Okay, glomerular filtration rate, we will in short we will write as ZFR. Glomerular filtration rate. What is our glomerular filtration rate? That in 1 minute, okay, we can produce 125 ml of urine per minute. Okay, so if you want to say that how many amount of urine we produce in the whole day, so 125 minute into 60 for 24 hours. Okay, so it is around 180 liters of urine we produce every day. Okay, 180 liters of urine we produce every day. We produce every day. It's not like we are releasing every day. Okay, so 180 liters of urine we produce it, but what happens that from this only 1% will be released as urine. Remaining 99% of this same nephric filtrate will be absorbed. Okay, it will be reabsorbed by our body. Okay, so around 1 to 1.5 liters of urine we produce, and remaining 178.5 liters of nephric filtrate we reabsorb. Okay, so that is the ZFR. Now just see, we need to know a very unique mechanism to maintain the salt or to maintain osmoregulation. We have one mechanism, and that mechanism is called this counter current mechanism. So let's just start the next very important mechanism here, that is the counter current mechanism. So let's just see what is the counter current mechanism. Okay, so first thing about the counter current mechanism, that what is the main aim of counter current mechanism? What is counter current mechanism? That whenever the blood flow or the nephric filtrate are flowing, it is occurring in the counter direction to perform some specific function. So what do they see? First of all, this is suppose the we'll draw a line. So here I have told already, this is the nephron. So this part is the cortex and this is the medulla. So in the cortex, what part of the nephron is present in the cortex? It is the glomerulus, then the Bowman's capsule, then this is the Bowman's capsule, this is the PCT. Then after that, this part will be the loop of Henle. This is the descending loop of Henle, this is the ascending loop of Henle. This will be the DCT, this is DCT, and this will be the collecting duct. Okay, so this is the collecting duct, this is the loop of Henle. Okay, right? So this will be the structure of the nephron. Already you have understood and you have seen it in the book also, NCERT also, in the previous video also. So just see what is happening in the counter current mechanism. One more thing you need to know, that whenever it comes to the blood vessel, every nephron will have its own blood vessel which is entering in the kidneys, entering in the nephron, so that filtration can occur. So this will be the afferent arteriole. Okay, this will be divided into numbers of small capillaries, that will be the glomerulus. Next one, this will be the efferent arteriole. Okay, this will be the efferent arteriole, right? Now what is it? See, in this counter current mechanism, if you can see this structure, then you can understand that here whenever the movement of nephric filtrate occurs, what happens? Inside this nephron, this nephric filtrate move in this loop of Henle in this descending direction. This is from the descending loop of Henle, and whenever the nephric filtrate grows up, okay, that will be the ascending loop of Henle. So why this nephric filtrate or why this loop of Henle is been produced? So that we can store the solutes inside our body. Okay, so what is the main mechanism or what is the aim? To store, to restore the solutes. Okay, our main mechanism is to excrete or to remove or to filter the urea outside the body and produce urine. Second function, it also maintain osmoregulation. So what is osmoregulation? To maintain the solute and solvent balance. Our body, inside our blood, we have a specific pH. Our blood will maintain a specific pH that is around 7.2 to 7.4. So what is it? If you take acidic food, it's not like that our blood will be acidic. If you're taking basic food, it's not like that the blood will be basic. Rather, the urine will be acidic or urine will be basic. Okay, but blood will maintain its specific pH, that is 7.2 to 7.4. So how this can be possible? Because our body knows how much solutes need to be stored, how much solute should be removed outside. So that is called as osmoregulation. So this osmoregulation can be possible with the help of countercurrent mechanism. So what happens in the loop of Henle? Whenever in the descending loop of Henle the nephric filtrate is flowing, then only the water water can be removed outside. Okay, into the interstitial space. So this remaining space will be called as interstitial space. So from the loop of Henle, from the descending loop of Henle to outside, water is removed outside. That means descending loop of Henle is permeable to only water. That too from inside the loop of Henle to outside, that is to the interstitial space. And whenever the same nephric filtrate is moving outside, that means from this region, from this medullary tip region to the descending loop of Henle to the DCT region, to the cortex region, the different type of salts will be taken up, okay, by the medulla itself. So we are going to store maximum solutes in it. Okay, so what will happen here, these things already I have told you, that we can able to maintain the osmolarity from 300 to 600 here. From cortex the osmolarity increases. That means in the middle of the kidney, suppose this is the kidney, in the middle of the kidney we are going to store maximum solute. So solute concentration will increase from 600 to 800, 800 to 1000, 1000 to 1200. So maximum in the tip of this U part, the tip of this part, middle of this loop of Henle, we are going to have the concentration, that means 1200 milliosmol per liter. So how this can be possible? With the help of countercurrent mechanism. Similar thing that will happen for the efferent arteriole. Just see, this efferent arteriole will be, suppose it is like this. Okay, so this is the efferent arteriole. So what is happening in the efferent arteriole, that whenever it is moving in this direction, maybe it is possible some solute will enter. This will be in the opposite direction. Remember, the nephric filtrate is moving in this direction, the blood will flow in this direction. Okay, remember. So what will happen here, that in this region some of the solute, if it enters, okay, if some solute enters, okay, to maintain the osmolarity, some solute will enter inside the blood vessel. But same solute, whenever it is moving from this medulla to the cortex, the osmolarity decreases. You have seen it. So solute has to be removed outside. That means whatever the solutes are entering inside the blood vessel, same amount of solute has to be removed outside. That means whatever the solute will be present inside, the blood will not allow to take the excess of solute. And also inside the nephric filtrate, if we have some excess important solute, all of the solute will go to the medulla of the nephron. So this is how the countercurrent mechanism occurs. So this is the countercurrent mechanism. It will be performed by two things. One is the loop of Henle, and second one is the this will be vasa recta. So this will be the same efferent arteriole which is moving outside. This will be efferent arteriole. Okay, this will be efferent arteriole. So this is the countercurrent mechanism. I hope you understand. Now we'll see the two cases. What will happen to the two cases? That means if we are taking amount of solute or the solvent balance is maintained, Then what are the types of mechanism, or how this urine produces, or how we are maintaining osmolarity? Let's just see. So first of all, if we have the normal ZFR is normal, blood pressure is normal, so blood volume is also normal. So all of them, they are normal. Then what happen? From this afferent arterial, blood will enter. If from efferent arterial, here in this glomerulus region, filtration occurs. So nephric filtrate will go down. Water from this nephric filtrate will be taken out. So inside this nephric filtrate, inside the if this is descending loop of Henle, the nephric filtrate get more and more dense or more concentrated. As we are going upside, then the nephric filtrate will be hypotonic, means the excess of solid will be taken up by the medulla. So that's how the collecting duct will collect all this waste product. That means basically the urea will be removed outside. So this is the normal condition. So if our body have less GFR, okay, so if we have, suppose, blood pressure. So here another thing, if this happens, that the body is having some problem, or that individual having high BP, okay, so just remember, if this individual have high BP, then what happens? We're expecting that this individual will have high ZFR, okay, so the ZFR will also rise. So in this condition, what will happen? That individuals, that kidney will do, or there will be a overload of kidney. The kidney will not able to properly function. So if with more and more pressure, the blood will enter into the glomerulus, and there may be possible that the Bowman's capsule completely fail to function. So in this condition, that individual having high BP, may be possible that this individual have some kidney damage, or permanently it can lead to kidney failure, right? So another condition I can say, that if this individual, this is the first condition, normal condition. Next condition, if the individual have high BP. And third condition, suppose that individual have scarcity of body fluid. Suppose we are not drinking water for long period of time, then what can happen? So if you have less body fluid, means you are not drinking water, or there is a scarcity of body fluid happens, then obviously GFR will decrease. GFR is decreasing means blood pressure is decreasing. Blood pressure is decreasing means body volume is also decreasing. So in this condition, what will happen? Most hypertonic urine, means in very less amount of solvent, means water, we will have most of the urea will be removed outside. And if that urea is not able to get filtrated outside, then most of the urea will start to get deposited in the interstitial spaces, and we will try to reabsorb maximum water. So in this condition, we'll try to reabsorb maximum water, and that water will go to the renal vein, okay, because in that condition, whenever we have scarcity of fluid, then what happens? There will be two types of hormones that will rise. What are they? One will be oxytocin, and second one is the, sorry, not oxytocin, this is vasopressin, and second one, this is ADH, antidiuretic hormone. So whenever we have the scarcity of fluid, scarcity of body fluid, then the vasopressin hormone and ADH hormone, antidiuretic hormone, the level of these two hormone will rise. And if it rises, then what happens? From the DCT and collecting duct, we will try to absorb more and more water. And if that water is absorbed, then it will go ultimately to the vasa recta, and from the vasa recta it will go to the renal vein, okay, because we have scarcity of body fluid, we have to reabsorb more and more water. Okay, so that's all about the countercurrent mechanism. There are three conditions I have told. So this is all about the types, function, everything we have discussed here. So that's all about it, all about this video. In the next video, we will discuss the regulation of kidney function. So that's all about the video. I hope you understand. Thank you.